Hello, everyone, and welcome to the London School of English channel on YouTube. In today's sessions, we will talk about how to feel more confident when speaking English in your work or social situations. My name is Olga, and I'm part of the London School of English team. Here with us today, we have one of our expert trainers, Douglas Nakaya. Hi, Douglas.
Hello, hi.
So Douglas will share some powerful advice on how to boost your confidence in English and some practical tips that you can start implementing right after this session. We are also joined by Faiza Afzal from our client services team.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. So Faiza can answer any questions related to our English courses online, both group and individual. So welcome to anyone who is still joining the session. I know that you're joining from different countries and from different cities in the world. So tell us where you're joining us from. Also, I would like to remind you that this session is meant to be very interactive. So feel free to write your comments and questions as we go along. The main part of the event will be about 30 minutes, and we will have a question and answer session at the end. However, if you'd like to get in touch with us after the event, you can also send an email to this email address, which we will show just a little bit later on the screen, but it's inquiries@londonschool.com. And now let me introduce you to Douglas and Faiza.
Well, hi, everyone. Hi, and welcome to this live stream. First of all, I'd just like to say that it's my absolute pleasure to be here and have you join us for this live stream. So thank you very much. I'd also like to commend you on your extraordinary commitment, your diligence to your studies. That's very good and well done you. Just a brief introduction. My name is Douglas, and it's my first time doing this live stream, which I'm really excited about and quite giddy, frankly speaking. Well, I was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I've been teaching English to students from all walks of life for the past 17 years, give or take. So I've taught in Japan while I was living there, and in Brazil. That's where I started my career in TEFL or teaching English. And now here in beautiful London, sunny London, at the London School of English, with some of the most amazing and ever so talented people in the world, and some of whom are here with me today. So Faiza, over to you.
Great, thanks so much. We do have quite a few people here from Brazil too, Douglas. It's very exciting. And we've also have some participants that are joining us. I see Italy and Russia and Peru and Romania and Turkey, Somalia. So we've got a very international mix. Hi, everybody. My name is Faiza. I see some familiar faces, so they might still recognize me from our live stream a couple of weeks ago. My name is Faiza, and I work in the client services team. I grew up in the Middle East, and I'm Canadian, but I've been living and working in the UK for the last 4 or 5 years. If you're new to the channel, I just wanted to let you know what we are about. So our mission here at the London School of English is to help people to communicate effectively across borders and cultures. We've been in business for over 100 years, which is very exciting. And we specialize in teaching English language skills to clients from all over the world. Many of our clients join us from, for example, Japan, Brazil, France, Switzerland, Korea, Italy, and many other countries. So it's nice to see that also reflected in all the participants that are joining us here today. Obviously, a lot has changed as a result of the COVID situation. And so we want to make sure that we can keep supporting our clients and allowing people and helping them on their journey of learning English. So we offer virtual group classes, which I can tell you a little bit more about later on. But basically, we have different subjects such as general English, business English, legal English, IELTS preparation, and any specialized English courses as well, one-to-one. You can find more information on the website that you see just here. So feel free to go visit, or you can email us at that inquiries website that Olga, email address that Olga had mentioned. We have some exciting offers. So we'll tell you a little bit about those before we start the Q&A later on. But for now, I will hand you back to Douglas, and he will start his presentation about how to be confident when speaking in English.
Thanks, Beza. Thanks. Right, so today we'll be looking at ways to boost our confidence in spoken English. And we'll give you some advice that hopefully you'll find to be helpful. So in the first part of this video, we'll explore some of the reasons why we feel so nervous when speaking in English and how to get around it. So it's important to notice that confidence has more to do with your inner feelings rather than your language skills. And then we'll have a look at some strategies that you can apply straight away in your interactions in English. And please remember that confidence is a journey, yeah, meaning it doesn't happen overnight. So the first thing we need to bear in mind is in which context we find ourselves when communicating in English. Is it on a professional capacity or social? So, for example, will you be giving a presentation at work, or talking to a client over the phone, or is it just doing small talk or striking up conversation with strangers at a party? That is important to establish, as it may require different strategies. In a professional context, we're normally much more nervous, as a poor performance could result in negative feedback from a manager or boss, and that, of course, could potentially jeopardize your career. So there's a lot at stake. And in a social situation, in a social context, there's a lot less pressure. It's a whole different ballpark. It's a lot less pressure, really. Right. So let me ask you this: how do you feel when you speak in English at work, or at a club or party, a pub? How is it that you normally feel? Is it okay? Do you feel fine, or do you get that weird feeling of walking on the edge of a knife? How do you feel? Let us know. Well, let's state the obvious. Talking in English in front of a lot of people is not always a walk in the park, is it? It's not always easy, is it? Especially in a language that's not your own, your mother tongue. So it's often very frustrating, isn't it? So my first advice is drop the perfectionism. Drop that maladaptive perfectionism. It's not going to help you. Yeah. What is perfection anyway? Well, it's perfectly understandable that you might want to make as few mistakes as possible. That's understandable. But embrace the eventual errors that you make. Don't dwell on them. So rather, take them as a learning opportunity. Yeah, does that make sense? So chances are that you will be less susceptible. It's less likely that you're going to make the same mistake next time. Also, I'd like to stress that mistakes are an important and natural part of learning. Well, the consensus is to always strive for perfection. Yeah? Perfectionism is often seen as a positive trait, but making mistakes is something we're not very well trained for, and I think that's we're missing out on making mistakes. So I was talking to one of my TAFL colleagues, from work, and someone came up with this experiment meant for students. In order to overcome this fear of making mistakes, try and put yourself in a situation that you know you're wrong, and see how people respond to that. you'd be surprised to know that most people are often polite and friendly and sympathetic towards you. So no big deal. People are often very polite, even when you make an obvious mistake. Well, the other thing is, keep positive, be proud, celebrate yourself. As an anxious person myself, I tend to obsess about all the 700 possible ways things can go wrong, and in doing so, we lose an objective perception of reality. So even when you perform well, it's hard to acknowledge that because your perception has been clouded by your anxiety. Well, instead, focus on all the positives, all the good work that you've accomplished. It's normal to feel anxious. It's part of being human. So observe the feeling, but don't become the emotion. Does that make sense? Yeah. Well, if the situation allows, be honest, be candid about your anxiety. So you can try something like, "Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous," or "Don't be afraid to seek clarification. It's okay to go, sorry, could you repeat that, please? I'm still learning. There's nothing wrong in that. People actually appreciate it. Or if you don't know the meaning of a word, just go say, try something like, "Sorry, what's the meaning of this word? I'm afraid I don't know the meaning of this word. It's new to me." And people are often very polite and very helpful. Well, I understand that showing vulnerability in your business dealings, it's more difficult. Yeah. Well, but I find that it can be that damage is bigger when you don't ask questions. So a typical example is a person has this know-it-all attitude and won't ask any questions because they don't want to look vulnerable. They don't want to look silly. So they won't ask anything. They'll keep it to themselves. And then that can generate a lot of other types of problems. It creates more problem in the future when they eventually realize that things are going south, are going wrong. Well, the other thing is, and here's our next advice, is keep it simple. Yeah, there's no need to overcomplicate things. In a professional environment, when given a presentation in English, or in a business meeting that's being held in English, we often have to convey complex reasonings, all the while making sure your speech is syntactically and semantically accurate. So in other words, you have to make sure your grammar is on point. You have to make sure vocabulary is good. So there's quite a lot. There's a lot to juggle with. So this would be my next advice to you. Keep it simple. Keep it short and sweet. Yeah, short and sweet is key here. Slow things down. Where's the fire? So short sentences. Be deliberate when you talk. Take your time. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, that was a binomial pair. That short and sweet. Are we familiar with binomial pairs? Well, maybe we can talk about binomial pairs in some other videos. So short and sweet, meaning surprisingly short in a way that's pleasing. Yeah. Okay. Well, my next advice to you would be this: do not compare yourself with others. Yeah. Don't compare yourself with others. And I would go even further and say, don't compare yourself with yourself. But please allow me to explain. In your mother tongue, you probably express yourself with eloquence and wit. Yeah, you're often described as funny, well-spoken, highly articulate. So it can be quite frustrating to realize that these attributes are not coming through in English. It is such a frustrating feeling. You feel like you can't imprint words with your true personality. Your speech is not quite as nuanced as you would have hoped. But you know what? That is okay. That is okay. Yeah, you're in the process of forging this new persona. Yeah, you're coming up with a new you. So this is a new version of yourself. Let me share with you this quote by Charlemagne, and it goes, "To have another language is to possess a second soul." That's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So how about this for a comparison? Did you know that British actor Laurence Olivier would throw up before going on stage? Yeah, you heard it right. He would vomit. Such was his nervousness. Well, another prime example would be singer-songwriter Adele, yeah, who I quote, "I have anxiety attacks, constant panicking on stage. My heart feels like it's going to explode because I never feel like I'm going to deliver ever." And these are the words from Adele. So I personally find it quite reassuring that even these amazing people also suffer from performance anxiety. Well, so you gave a presentation at work and managed not to barf your chicken sandwich. So, you're smashing it. You're better than Laurence Olivier, isn't it? Yeah, you're smashing it. Well, moving on. A lot of what we communicate doesn't rely only on words. It goes beyond, it transcends words. Yeah, it translates in the body. We're going to call this a non-verbals, yeah, or non-verbal language. And our non-verbal language will influence our behavior. There have been a number of studies that show a direct link between smiling and higher levels of self-esteem. So there's a TED Talk, a really good TED Talk by social psychologist Amy Cuddy. And in her TED Talk, Amy talks about how high power posing can cause hormonal changes in our bodies. It's incredible. It can actually decrease our cortisol level and makes us feel good and powerful and confident. So I'd really recommend watching this video that we're going to share here with you. And perhaps trying out these so-called high power poses before a job interview, for example. Yeah. So there's something like this, hands on ways. Well, you watch the Amy is going to she's going to show it to you. I can't really make it. It's something like this. Anyway, finally, I'd like to go over some quick practical strategies to help you improve your confidence when speaking English. And here they are. So number one, read it out loud. Yeah. If you have a script, for example, during a presentation or a meeting, and there's a script, so try and read it aloud. Yeah. Remember to enunciate your words. Remember to pronounce them clearly. Don't mumble your words. Yeah. Do that quite a few times, and I'm sure you'll find it to be very helpful. So that's number one. The other thing that I would like to to suggest is something called shadowing. Do you know this strategy? Well, it's a very simple one. And this one is good for pronunciation and things like rhythm and inflection. So it basically means to listen to authentic material, authentic English material, and copy exactly what you hear, paying a lot of attention to the way things are said. You know? We have here provided some links to some TED Talks, so you could try shadowing these ones. That I find helps a fair bit. Number 3 is work on your listening skill. Okay, one way of doing this is by eavesdropping. Do you know this one? Do you know this strategy? Well, this is how it goes. So eavesdropping consists in secretly listening to other people's conversations and trying to make sense of what they're saying. Yeah, but be discreet. Okay, don't join the conversation or anything like that. Just listen casually. Just listen. Try and make sense of what's being said. Number 4, rehearse. So practice. Yeah, this would be number 4. So say, for example, you want to improve your confidence when talking on the phone. So why not try calling a couple of places? So for instance, you can call your bank or your favorite shop and inquire about a product, for example. So you can ask if they have it in stock. You can ask about their opening hours. That will create a sense of familiarity when you're talking on the phone. So I wouldn't go on a conference call without ever talking to anyone on the phone. So try that, do that a couple of times, and that should create a familiarity. Well, now moving on to number 5. So this one is try something new. Get out of your comfort zone. Try something new. So the thing is, people who struggle with low self-esteem might find it hard to take risks because they believe that they're not able. Yeah, they don't believe in their ability to succeed. And by getting out of your comfort zone and overcoming this fear of trying something new, you will generate this faith in yourself, and you will make. And this will make you a stronger, more resilient person whenever faced with challenges. So give that a go. Well, I feel like I've done a lot of talking here. Olga, Faiza, would you? Is there anything you would like to contribute with? Have I missed anything? Is there anything you would like to share with us?
Thank you very much, Douglas, for this very useful and practical tips on feeling more confident in spoken English. And we have a lot of comments, both from alumni, which share their memories of studying at the London School of English, which were really heartwarming to read, and also a lot of people actually sharing about their struggle in either understanding or speaking English with confidence, and also quite a few questions. So, but just to call out a few of the comments from that we received while you were speaking. So actually, one of the comments from Sayuri Okamoto, who talks about almost having a different personality when you speak a different language, such as English.
Yeah.
And also have some.
I would also add that depending on the language you're speaking, kind of the style in which you communicate can change as well. So
that's a very good point, Faiza. Very good point. Yep. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
No, I just meant that, like, you know, there are some languages that are quite fast. There are other languages that are a little slower and subdued. I'm originally from I'm originally from Bangladesh, and when I speak in Bangla, I sound very different than when I speak in English, and it depends on who you speak to. So, you know, sometimes if you're around friends or family, you get a lot louder, and sometimes if you're in work, you're a little bit different. So
So my experience with Japanese learners, Japanese clients, is that in their language, there's so many different ways you can address people, and so many different levels of you know, respect. Or so when you talk to your boss, you're supposed to address them in a way. When you talk to your colleagues, in different ways. So many different pronouns when you talk to them, and because English is much more straightforward. It's got one personal pronoun, you know, to address to the people sitting across from you. It's you. Yeah. So yes, I feel like you develop this new personality, this new persona when you communicate in a different language, in English, for example. So yeah, that's really interesting, and also that's fantastic. It's amazing because it's your opportunity to, you know, create this new you, forge this new persona. It's wonderful, really.
Yeah. Can be exciting.
Just also, I'm sure that we probably won't be able to respond to all of the comments because there are quite a few of our alumni and also our viewers joining us, but just wanted to give a shout out to Yelena Chipanina and Ana Lidia from Brazil, whom we all remember, of course, and Frank Kuntz and Tanya Gestas. If I pronounce your names incorrectly, please forgive me for that, but I'm trying as much as I could. And then Florbella Cunha, who's saying that she still remembers her intensive general English course. So that's wonderful to hear all of your comments. And I'm sure that Faiza and Douglas share this as well.
And Douglas, I think we have one of your former students here. There's Patricia Para. She's here. Yeah? She misses you. Yep.
Hello, Patricia.
And then I think we had a few more of your former students here as well. So I'll see if I can scroll back. Yeah. Tanya, she was also your former student as well. So thank you guys very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
And helping and continuing to help you 10 years later, even for some people.
Can I just address some of the one thing someone mentioned? Oh God, I lost it. Somebody said saying understanding British accent is a bit difficult sometimes. Well, okay, so it's really interesting. I really for our clients, for anyone really trying to learn English, it's amazing the number of different accents they have to cope with. It's you know, we have Aussie, Australian English, and there's British English, there's American English, Canadian English, which it's not too different, but they have to cope with Canadian. There you go. With so many different accents, it's almost unfair that they have to I think so. Say for example, if you're doing business with say people in Britain, try and get familiar with the language and the accent. These days is you know, just so easy to find stuff on the internet. So for example, it's a very silly example. You can watch Peaky Blinders and you get this accent from Birmingham, or if you watch those American, like, you know, Friends or How I Met Your Mother or whatever, and then you get a different nuance to accents, or American. So that I find is a way of getting more familiarized with the accent you need to improve. So try and listen to that accent whenever it's possible, whenever you can. Yeah. That way you create a familiarity with the sound.
Yeah.
There was, I think, a comment, Olga, earlier from Horatio, who was saying that also now, obviously, we've moved to a very online world. So you're having many of the conversations in this format on Zoom or whatever, YouTube or whatever platform it is. So sometimes it can be difficult to understand if people talk very quickly.
Yeah.
So do you have any thoughts?
Somebody mentioned here find it very difficult to understand. I think it was Mr. Gennari. So he says, that was so difficult to understand business American people via Zoom. They talk so fast. So it's different from, it says it's different from what is listening to here. Well, yeah, that's him. Well, so there are one of the my suggestions was to improve your listening skill. Yeah, and there are many ways we can do this. So you see, whenever you talk to people, especially in a business environment, chances are they're not really going to slow it down, especially if they're native speakers. They're just going to talk the way they do. But you can improve your listening skill by paying attention. Say, for example, when we say things, words are never said. We don't say words separately. We link words. We connect words always when we speak English fluently. And all sorts of things happen when we join these words together. So we call this connected speech. So say, for example, when a consonant is together with a vowel sound, we'll put it together, and that can sometimes generate a different sound that you wouldn't otherwise notice with having a look at these two words separately. So that's really important. And if you want to improve your listening skill, paying attention to that is key. Yeah.
Yep.
So joining these vowel sounds, the linking wa, the linking ra, the linking ya, catenation, all these names of, paying attention to that is good, is key really. And perhaps we can create a video in the future about these so-called linking sounds. Yeah.
I think you also mentioned it as one of your tips, like to ask people to clarify.
Exactly.
So I think, saying, we're on an internet connection. I'm sorry, could you say that again? Perhaps can be a nice way to help people to speak more slowly.
Exactly.
I think we are all kind of mindful of it sometimes, but when you get excited, you can suddenly start talking quite quickly. Yeah. So it can be nice to just say, "Oh, do you mind? I wasn't sure I heard that.
I'm still learning, or I didn't quite catch that. Would you mind repeating that, or could you, in a very polite way, could you slow it down a little bit, or could you rephrase that?" Is another good way. If you're too self-conscious about asking people to repeat things all the time, you can. Oh, would you mind? Can you rephrase this, or could you explain this in a different way? And so that's one way as well.
Yeah, great. So we're receiving more comments, and actually we still have about 5-10 minutes. So if you've got any questions, please share them in this live chat, and we will attempt to answer as many of them as possible. And if not, you can always contact us via our website. But just before we continue with the questions and answers, in the beginning of the live stream, Pfizer promised to share with you some very exciting information about special offers that we're currently running on our English courses. So a word to Pfizer for that.
So as I said, we've been running these virtual group courses since the middle of March, and we cover many different subjects like general English and business English and legal English as well. And we're currently doing an offer on our IELTS course. I think so many of you might be familiar with the IELTS exam. Basically, it's very helpful if you're looking to prepare to do further studies, but just improve your English and take an exam qualification. So for anybody who would like to book the IELTS group course, we have this special offer that if you book for 4 weeks, you'll get the 5th for free. And if you book for 8 weeks, you get week 9 and 10 for free. So it's a great offer, and the IELTS exam kind of lets you cover your listening, speaking, reading, writing skills. And it's a great kind of qualification that is often needed if you want to continue studying further. So as Olga shared, kind of the email address that we have, if you are interested in that, or if you have any questions, then please let us know if you want to take advantage of this great offer. And there it is right there. It's at inquiries@londonschool.com. And if you have any other questions in general also about the courses, I know it's so lovely to see all of these alumni who've had great experiences with us, whether they came last summer or whether they came in January and February and hoping to come back. So let us know if we can support you while we're virtual, but we also hope to be able to support you when we go back to being face-to-face as well. So yeah.
So let us know if you have any questions. Let me start with one question I often get from our clients is, okay, what if I am in the middle of a presentation or a talk, and what if I forget things? What if I get a question that's a bit tricky, and I'm not quite sure I know the answer to that question? Well, here's the answer. So you take a sip of water, you get this tricky question, and you go, oh. This will buy you time to, assess where you are and the things you're going to say. It's actually a strategy politicians use whenever they get a prickly question or spiky comment, or they have a cheeky sip of water to buy them some time. So and that's perfectly you're not evading the question. It's just having a sip of water.
Yeah. I think one of the things I've found in doing lots of various kind of presentations over the years is we sometimes forget that you can take some time, so that you can take a moment to breathe, to have that drink of water, to give yourself the time to sort of understand the question, or if you've forgotten something. So I've found, if I get a question, I can sometimes be like, that's a really great question. Let me see what I can answer at the moment. But if there's anything we miss, then we'll let you know. So it's kind of what Olga said, to be honest, before we started the Q&A, that, we will do our very best to answer what we can for you right now. But if there's anything else, then we'll get back to you. And I know, Douglas, you kind of mentioned that as well, of it's better to be honest about what you know than pretend as though you know everything, because we're all human.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
I think it's really important. And the thing is, people appreciate that. People appreciate the honesty, and that's when you bond with your audience, is that they can see you're only human, and so yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the best ways to connect with people across cultures. Just be yourself as much as you can. We've got another question from Jose Pedraza.
Yeah, I was looking at that one.
How to cope with two accents, British and should we choose only one?
Yeah, well, so these days, yeah, well, I don't think we should be. I don't think people should worry too much about picking one. As long as communication is happening, that's what really matters. Of course, if you prefer British English, then try and pronounce words that way, or if you prefer American English because of you find it easier to understand, or then try and stick to that one. Yes, but as long as you're communicating, as long as people are you're getting the point across, that's what really matters. That's what's really important. That communication is happening. But I would say try and stick to one. But if it's yeah.
It can change over time as well. I've seen it with my own accent actually. I had more of an international one, and then I spent some time in the UK, so some words I pronounced that way. And then after I lived back in Canada for 5 years, my O sound are a lot more round because I've been in Canada. So
it's called accommodation. So for example, if you're here in Britain, and then if I move to Australia, give it a couple of months, and I'll be talking like an Aussie. So it's natural. It's only natural. We kind of acclimatize with the environment we're in. It's quite natural thing to happen.
Great. We've got some new comments and questions as well. So we've got Maita Al-Kabi saying hello to us from Dubai.
Hello. Hi, Dubai.
Hi.
Been there twice. Beautiful place.
We've got also our alumni, Sayuri Okamoto, who said that she took IELTS course with us in 8 weeks, and we jumped from 6.5 to 8.5. So this is really great results. And of course, Sayuri, first of all, it's all of the hard work that goes into preparing for the exam. So well done to you. And then we also have questions related to how about fillers in the questions, like etc.
But what about sentence fillers? Like right. Really interesting question, this one. Thanks, Mr. Thakur. You see what I'm doing now? This is actually a good way. Do you remember what I said about the glass of water? So this is the equivalent, but without any water. So it's actually a strategy we teach our IELTS students. So whenever to hesitate is normal. You're trying to think what you're going to say next. And you have to put the words together and try and make sense of all the ideas percolating in your head. So saying these is actually a good way to say what you want to say. We all do this, and it's not native speakers will do it. If you listen to any TED Talk videos or any presentation, we all do this. These sounds are very important. The so-called fillers, and they will buy you time until you put words together in your head in a way that makes sense. We actually teach this to students in one of our courses. Well done there, Akur.
Golga, I see another question from Sayuri, which is like, what if you simply don't get the meaning of a question? So how can you ask the questioner to rephrase? So It can be both, actually. So what you could do is rephrase the question yourself and say, have I understood you correctly? So if somebody asks, you simply don't get the meaning of the question. Do you mean a situation where you don't understand what somebody's asking you? Is that correct? And then they can say yes or no. Or you can say, I just want to make sure I've understood you. Could you?
Echoing, yes. So you can echo, well done, Faisal. So you echo the question. So you can try something like, oh, so what you're asking me is this. And then you repeat the question in your own words. Now, if chances are you will understand one or two words, but if you feel like you didn't get anything, just say it. Sorry, but it went over my head. Can you repeat that, please? Can you say again? I couldn't quite understand. So Mr. Komoto is asking if how can I nicely ask the person, the questioner, to rephrase the question. Yeah, just there's no because in Japanese there's so many different ways of being polite and so many different ways you can convey politeness. In English, it's much more straightforward. So don't worry about sounding rude. So if you go, I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, please? Or I'm not sure I understand you. That's not rude. It doesn't sound rude at all.
I'd also say I've found sometimes if I break down a question, like if somebody asks me a very long question, and I can say, the first part of your question was about this, and then the second part of your question. So I will answer about the first part and then be able to provide the answer there. And then I'll answer about the second part a little bit later on. So, you can, it's a little bit related to your answer about the sentence fillers as well. And, the techniques you were saying that we would teach our students, that I know it can sometimes feel as though you have to answer the question perfectly as soon as you've answered it, but you can always come back and continue on with your answer and reiterate and say that, I said this at the beginning and now I'm saying this again. And this is what I mean.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Douglas and Faiza. And I'm just aware of the time, even though we still have quite a lot of comments and questions. So if we don't answer some of them, please do get in touch with us. But I just want to have a very quick blitz of some of the questions. We'll just do in 2-3 minutes before we. So some of the questions are actually related to IELTS. So we have a question.
And CPE as well. Sorry.
Yes, and CPE as well. So IELTS, given that our center is closed due to the current situation, do you know when it will reopen? And also, I guess the question is how to prepare for IELTS before this time as well. Yeah. So perhaps Faiza, if you could.
Yeah. So I think we're trying to figure that out depending on what the government advice is and depending on the travel restrictions that might be in place. With regards to the IELTS, as we said, we're kind of still continuing to teach that online in groups, so you can continue on with your preparation. In terms of the exam, I know that the British Council in some places are looking to do online versions so that you can prepare and take your exam online. Again, I think we've had many people kind of comment on the various areas that they need to improve on. So it might actually be a good opportunity for you to work on those areas for a specific and longer period of time, and then look to do the exam. I must say I'm not necessarily a teacher, but I have worked with our clients when they're asking how long should I study? How long should I do this? And sometimes it can help to focus on trying to improve your language first, than thinking about when you're going to take the exam, if that makes sense. So perhaps now is actually a good opportunity for you to just be able to improve that language. And then, when you're able to know when you can take the exam, you can take that without having that as a pressure. I mean, it helps as a motivation too.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, in terms of our focusing on specific areas, for example, the question from Maita, we as well, apart from IELTS virtual group courses, we also offer individual tuition as well, if you want to focus on something that's very specific. Another question is from Jamie Neira. Are you guys online masterclasses like this one? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Watch this space. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because even next week we will have several live sessions. One of them will be with Faiza, who are your...
See me again.
Yes, one of our YouTube stars. And of course, there'll be more sessions with Douglas. So do watch the space and subscribe to the channel. And then there were some questions related to another test, which is a CPE test. Perhaps we can try to answer this right now, but you can always contact us for further details.
Toughest thing about taking CPE, it really depends on where your strengths lie. What's your strength? Because it'll be different to different people. Some people find it easier. Some people are really talented in writing, say, for example, or some people have a really good listening skill. So it may vary. It'd be interesting to have a chat with one of our trainers, and they will be able to give you feedback and on the things you need to work on and improve. So it's quite a personal one, that question. Yeah.
I'd also say kind of, we've got different types of the online classes. So as Olga said, there's a one-to-one, but there's a group. And with the groups, actually, one of our greatest advantages is that they're in small sizes. So you'll be there with kind of, anywhere from 3 to 8 people. So you'll still be able to kind of get that attention and focus on what you need. So exactly as kind of Douglas was saying, if there's an area that you need to improve on, you do have the opportunity to work on that. And that, when we're doing our courses face-to-face as well, you would do the IELTS, but there are tutorial times where it's just like, okay, of the 4 skills, which area do you need to improve? What could you work on? And here are some of the extra things you can do, as well as kind of learning together in the group. So I'd suggest, sometimes if you feel like you need that extra bit of support, you can always get that by being in a group or by learning with a trainer. We have these online platforms as well in IELTS, in general English, that self-study, and you can study it in your own time. So perhaps that's another option for you as well. So yeah, kind of many different ways.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think by now we would need to unfortunately wrap up, even though I can see lots more questions coming. So for those questions, don't hesitate to contact us via either our website or via this email that's shown on screen at the moment. And don't forget to subscribe because we will have more live sessions like this and more videos with English language learning tips for you. And big thanks to everyone who joined from different corners of the world. Big thanks to Douglas for this wonderful tips and practical advice, and for Faiza for her advice on how to deal with nerves and how to cope during presentations. Yes, have a good rest of the day wherever you are, and stay safe, stay well, and keep learning English.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Everybody. Take care.